Hey everybody, it's Moonbo here, and welcome back to more Scrap Mechanics suggested creations. I want to apologize for being away for a little while, but we are back with a creation that, let me tell you, it has been suggested so many times, and finally I have done my take on it. This is what has been consuming a bit of my time, as well as I've been a little busy on the other side of that, so I hope you guys do enjoy this build. In this video, of course, I'm going to go through a little bit of the build process. We're going to tour the whole plane, as well as go over the flight mechanics of the plane and fly around in this world and get some cool shots. I'm really excited to show you guys this thing. It's taken me the last few days to finally finish and get flying in the air comfortably, so I'm excited to put this on the workshop as well. So of course, like all my builds, they are on the Steam workshop, so there's links in the description, so of course make sure you check that out. So without further ado, let's check out this A380 Airbus. So I'm going to mention, of course, I'm in a flatland, as you can see, and over here there is a corner with a bunch of windows. Now you might not be able to see it, but I have put windows all the way around, so you can see way off in the distance there. There's some windows there, so we can fly around, and hopefully I'll be able to get a good view of those corners and we won't run into the walls. But let's do a little bit of a walk around here and talk about this build. As you can see, it does get a little bit FPS drop sometimes if you get a little too close to it, so we'll keep our distance. So you can see I've added some blinking lights with a bit of logic here. So there's a red one on the left side, and once we get around to the other side, you'll see that there is a green one. So this is getting a little bit of an FPS drop here. There we go. So you can see the back looks a little funny. The whole build started to get laggier and laggier, a lot faster than I was expecting. So I ended up having to sacrifice the tail end and just kind of putting a little stubby looking rocket on it. I thought it looked kind of funny. But really I had to save a little bit at the back end, and honestly when you're sitting in the front there, you can't even see any of the back. You don't even know it's there. So I didn't get an exact count on how many seats there are inside, but we will be getting in there in a moment. Here you can see this is the other side of the wing. Now, to mention a bit of the build process, I ended up creating a bit of a module. So I had like a module that sat in the middle of the area here, so you can see where the seats would be, and I welded them all together into this massive fuselage. And then I made a custom nose here, and then I ended up making one wing and then duplicating it and flipping it over and putting it on this side, and then mounting these motors manually. So you can see that it does look pretty good, and it ended up being a very bulky build, especially since I wanted to make the seats so wide. So I'll show you guys on this side here. Obviously there was a door. These are not real doors though, these are just kind of prop doors because I didn't want this build to have too many bearings. So I made it so that you come in through the bottom here in the front landing gear. So there is a chair right here that you can hop into, and I've also placed a little tiny hole here. You can see there's a hole, and that will lead you right up to the driver's seat, so you can actually just get directly into it that way. But we will just hop right in here into this one, and so here we are in the belly of the beast, as I would like to say. This thing is massive. It has a lot of thrusters and all sorts of cool stuff. So I am going to get the connection tool out here. There we go. Now look at this. Look, it's like it's snowing here. There's so many lights above us. But those are actually all just seats. The real magic is down here with so many thrusters connected to so many things. And I have so much to show you guys with this one. The landing gear is really cool as well, and it's pretty amazing what I ended up having to do. So you can see there's just tons of thrusters and loads of connections. This took me a little while to connect. So you can see there's even more way back there, but we're gonna run all the way back to the front of the plane, and that is where we are going to start our journey in this episode. So we have a little bit of stairs right here, and this will lead you directly into the cockpit. Now, I ended up making this cockpit extremely simple, obviously because of the sheer size of this build. But you can see that there is actually one heck of a view up here in the front windows, so you can get a great view. Now that we have the follow cam, this is actually a cinch to fly. So let's take a quick tour of the entire plane. So here you can see there are some stairs that lead up, but of course you can head over this way. So you can see there are tons of seats. I did not sacrifice any of the seats. I tried to keep as many as I could. So you can see there's just tons of them. We can actually walk a little bit faster because we'll be here all day walking around this plane. So you can see there's some simple bathrooms here, as well as some like extra seating for some of the crew members. And one thing I want to point out actually is at the back end here, you can see I left it open. Now I was considering putting a big wall here, but I was like, you know what, what's the point? I mean, I could put a wall there, but it would not allow you to see this epic amount of thrusters back here, as well as this awesome view actually. So you can actually get right back here, and you can just see the sheer size of this build and just how long the plane actually is. So, I mean, if you have this many friends in Scrap Mechanic that you can fill a plane like this, I think that'd be the most amazing thing ever. So I think we can probably just wrap around to the top here. There we go. And so you can see I added a whole bunch of lighting inside as well, just to add a bit of an ambience. Because obviously I had to sacrifice detail. There's no overhead storage, there's no little ringer bells or anything, and there's no doors either. There's just openings or mock doors because obviously this build is humongous. And then of course here upstairs is a bit of a repeat as the bottom, except there is a little bit more room obviously in between the seats. So it's kind of like a mix between economy class and first class. So obviously though this plane is massive, in real life it can hold, I think, 500 in a full, I think in a full size with all of the luxury seating, and I think it's like 800 or so with the economy class. So we are gonna hop inside of this seat here, and now you can see that this thing is massive. So what we're gonna have to do, of course, is open up our field of view menu and increase that to 90, so we can see the whole thing. So obviously it does look a little wider than you would think it would, but really it just had to be that way. The seats just had to fit. I needed to match the rows that I was looking at in the pictures, just to get a real idea of the sheer size of this build. So let's bring up the buttons though, and we are going to have a look at all 10 of these buttons. So the first one I'm going to do is the 1 key. So this one is really cool actually. The 1 key will activate the forward thrust, and you will notice that those little turbine engines there, when I press the 1 key, those turbines start to spin up, and you can see they actually gain quite a bit of speed. And I thought that was a really cool addition to actually add the spinning kind of jet engines. Now before we do go any further, because I want to be looking in the right direction while we're flying this thing, we'll go through the other buttons. So the 2 key is the landing gear, but we'll do that in the air. And 3 is your general thrust. Now this one I wanted to make as stable as possible. So in this case here, I made it so that you press 3, and as you can see, I am barely even leaving the ground. Now if I press 4 though, you'll see that this is where your lift actually comes from. So now you can actually see that the plane is extremely stable, so you don't have to worry about going up and down. So I wanted to keep that extremely balanced. Now, if you do want to go down with the thrust on, you can either turn it on or off, or you can press the 9 key, which is your downward thrust, which will actually ease you down to the ground, making really, really smooth landings a piece of cake. So we'll turn that off, and so the 4 and 5 keys are the ones that will control your pitch, so you'll go forward and backwards, and the 6 and 7 key, I believe those are your, that's actually 6 and 7, sorry, 5 and 6 is your pitch, that's what it is, okay, 7 and 8 is your roll. There's so many keys here, it's crazy. The 9 key is your down, and 0 is reverse. So you can actually see there is a pretty slow reverse. Now this thing is just absolutely massive, so it doesn't always move the fastest, and I did want to make it fly faster, because the real one does actually fly like 900 kilometers an hour, but ultimately I had to sacrifice that because of the limited space that we have in this open map. So let's get back down to the ground here, and you'll see actually, look, this is just how balanced it is right now. This is with no thrusters on, so we can actually press the 6 key and touch our nose back down, and we are going to get geared up for takeoff. Alright, so here we are in first person. Now, I can pretty much see where those corners are. So now I'm going to try my best to fly around. So first person, I'm going to have to actually look up maybe just a little bit more like this. So we're going to see just how long I can fly this thing. I'm going to have to be able to see the ground, obviously. So let's duck this down a little bit more and pull the nose back up. Alright, so I can see something on the ground there. Okay, so there's a corner. So now, as you can see, this thing is absolutely easy to fly. So now I am pointing it right at this corner, and I will be able to make a pretty sweet turn here, I'd say, if we do this right. So let's try and get a good view of this. So that wasn't too bad of a turn, actually. You can see that it really does try and right itself. I mean, I do have to work a little bit of magic there. Oh, actually, that reminds me. Let's avoid this wall. Actually, no, that wall's pretty far away. Let's get this landing gear in here. So you can see the landing gear is pretty intricate. And I'm actually going to hop back down on the ground really fast and show you guys what is going on with this landing gear and why it does actually work when you do land. Alright, there we go. Nice landing. So let's have a quick look at that landing gear, shall we? Alright, so here we are at the rear landing gear. Now, this plane is actually propped up on a lift at the moment, but it's not actually connected to it. And that's so I can show you guys the mechanisms going on here with the landing gear. So if I press this button right here, you will see that the locking arms will open up, and the wheels will enter the plane like so, and then the covers will shut over top, just like so. Now, the reason why there are locking mechanisms, I will show you, is if I open this landing gear up again and get that out, and you will see those locking arms go back again. And now, watch what happens when I lower myself on this propped up lift right here. You can actually see the wheels are actually trying to push themselves in. Now, if we get a closer look here, you can see that these bearings are barely holding on. Now, if these bearings weren't here, this entire wheel would actually get pushed into the plane and the landing gear would just not work. So this was a little bit of a workaround that actually works pretty well. So you can see I have one on that side there, and if I work my way over here, you can see that I actually have another one here. So that is the same on both sides. Again, if I push the lift up like so, you will see the weight will come off of the entire lift there, and all the wheels settle back down. So that was a pretty interesting thing. Now, incidentally, I actually did have to do that all the way up here on this front landing gear as well. Now, I don't think it necessarily needed it. You can see it just kind of barely even touches the ground when you put it on the lift, because there's so much balanced weight inside the center area of the plane here, and the entire like wingspan helps that as well. So it makes for a really fun flying experience. Speaking of flying, let's get back into the air. Alright, so there you have it, guys. Finally, I have made the A380 Airbus. I hope you guys enjoyed the build. It certainly was a lot of fun to make, and I was extremely excited to make this thing fly. So, obviously, this thing is going somewhere. I'm not 100% sure, so I'm just gonna maybe find a spot here and maybe grab a seat. And I guess I'm just along for the ride. I don't know. It's kind of nice to just be a passenger, actually. I have no idea where we're going, though. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you hit that like button, and of course, if you haven't already, subscribe for endless scrap mechanic, and I will be seeing you guys in the next one. Bye for now.